Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. I am your host, hiding out in a different corner today, Stephen Stark. We've got my two co-hosts occupying the top spots, Nessie and John, and I'm choosing to sit next to my mommy today. So you should all know us from last time. You all know who we are, but let's just jump into the Umbrella Academy season 2. I'm just gonna go right for the throat in this one. And since we started with Mom last time and made Nessie go last, Nessie, why don't you go first this time? What'd you think of the Umbrella Academy season 2?
I absolutely love this. This was like the greatest dark comedy homage to all the conspiracy theory movies, all about surrounding, alien landings and who shot JFK, and is there a secret organization that's, this is like all conspiracy theories just wadded up into one, and I loved every minute of it.
Right on. Well, I'm going to more or less just agree with you on that. So we'll then, I don't know that I need to say much else at the beginning. Mom, how about you? What did you think?
Well, I've said over and over, I can't think of enough adjectives for how good this season was. The first season was excellent, but this just surpassed season 1 by leaps and bounds.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. And last but not least, John, was worse than season 1, right?
It was dreadful. No, I loved it. I'm not even gonna mess around. It was great. The couple of small quibbles that I had about season 1 pretty much evaporated with this season, and it was just fun from beginning to end. And I loved all the characters. Pretty much the characters that I loved in season 1, I loved even more here, and the ones that I didn't really care for grew on me exponentially with this season. So yeah, it was great.
Couldn't agree more with those thoughts in general. I thought they took everything from season 1 and they just upped the ante. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll start with I've got and anybody can answer. So I'm kind of riffing off of something John just said. Who was the character that you didn't love in season 1 that you really did love in season 2?
Like Diego.
Most improved. Diego for John. Why Diego?
Because whereas for most of season 1, I felt like he was just a dick. And there were moments where he showed that he had a sort of goofy side that maybe he wasn't completely aware of, but most of all, he was just really insufferable. This season, I feel like the writing just took him to that place where he's just so unintentionally hilarious throughout, and just is so, the bravado is carried so far that you almost can't even take it seriously, but you're getting more pathos in him too, where moments of his humanity are showing, and you're seeing his sort of weak points. There's a moment during the dinner scene or the lunch scene with their father when they're all there, where he just crumbles, and it's really emotional. And yeah, I just, and the whole, what is it, Team Zero thing, the running joke that's carried throughout. It's like and there's a line that Five says, he's like, think Batman, then lower your expectations or something to that effect. And that really does sum him up.
Yeah, I agree. And he has pretty good journey to go on, this season. He starts by saying something to the effect of, I'm a lone wolf, I don't have a pack. In the beginning of the first episode. But by the end, he's the one like Team Zero, we got your back. I thought it was really nice to learn to watch him learn to accept the help from his siblings and to be part of a team.
Right. Yeah.
Mom, Nessie, do you guys have one that was a different take on who did you say most improved character of season 2?
Well, I really, really like what they did with Allison's character.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, she lands, not only without her powers, but just without the ability to communicate at all. So that is like a major handicap. And she's one of the first ones to arrive, and she's obviously in a place and time that is not very welcoming, and she just digs in. I mean, she digs her heels and she puts down roots. She is just basically is taking a stand. She is planning herself. She's taking a stand. She's inserting herself into the community. And where before she was always the one that was up on a pedestal, up looking down around, as this supermodel, this perfect daughter, what have you, and being set apart in that way. And then for her to just get right down and just, take a stand and become a community leader. It's just, she is being brave, very brave, on without any of her powers to back her up. She's doing everything on her own and her own merit.
Yeah.
Well, previously, Allison, she was really spoiled. She's a beautiful woman, real easy on the eyes, and I'm not gay, not against people who are gay, but I can see she's a gorgeous woman that men would be, or people that are attracted to women would be attracted to.
Yeah.
And B, she can rumor people to do what she wants. So I can see where that would cause her to be very spoiled. So she grew as a human being in this season because she didn't use her powers. And even when she did regain her voice, she chose not to use her powers.
Right.
Because she I'm sure there was some guilt over that, because she tried to rumor Vanya, probably with good intentions, because Vanya was getting out of control. Hey, she wound up destroying the earth, but she just grew really well as a person. And I think she was helped a lot in her marriage to Raymond, because he was a really good, decent human male. So we're all helped by people in our lives. They can make us better. They can make us worse. They can do both, back and forth. But you're in the best situation when they make your life better most of the time.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to have to go with Luther to answer that question, though. Like, by the end of season 1, I wanted to be like, Luther, I did not like him. Like, I was very upset with Luther. Like, I'm realistic about, he did not cause the apocalypse the way some people say he did, but his propensity to use his physicality to force other people to do what he wants is just, it's an anathema. And it's not, it's violence. I mean, it's not actually causing physical harm, but it is still the implication of using physical, like, I'm going to stop you physically from letting her out. People tried to push past him. He wouldn't let them. He does not do that to his siblings, except when he throws 5 off the stairs, which was hilarious anyway. So I don't know. I did not like Luther by the end of last season. And this season, I pretty much just enjoyed him the whole way through, even when he went to meet Vanya in the barn and, he's rolling up with a gun because he doesn't really know what to expect from her. But that's almost like, that's his come to Jesus moment where he starts to admit that he made mistakes. And going forward, he does a lot better just in general. So, Yeah. I would say I like Luther a lot better this season. Okay.
No disagreement here.
Well, I liked him better, but I actually did like his character in season 1, even when he was making horrible mistakes, just because I could see how he got there. So I understood his character. I didn't really dislike him in season 1, and I actually felt quite a bit for him, but he really they stepped it up with him this season. Again, it's by showing more of these characters sort of weaknesses and allowing them to sort of embrace their goofiness a bit, where he's letting go of trying to be the team leader, and he's just like, that didn't get me anywhere. I screwed things up. I'm just going to be me. And it turns out that him just being himself is hilarious.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say to that.
Well, I think everybody grew somewhat this season except 5. And 5 was just still his obnoxious, I'm older than the rest of you, even though I don't look like it.
But his interactions with his doppelganger, or whatever you want to call it, those I think were some of the best 5 moments in this season, where he's treating this 57-year-old man as still like a kid. He's like, I'm 14 days older than you.
Yeah, 14 days.
Woo! And just, yeah, that was great.
And I would say, as far as sorry, I'm just gonna do a hard disagree right there. I don't feel any sympathy for Carl. No,
I do.
With 5, he's already done his his version of growing up. He's he's an older man, so he's not going through the same sort of emotional journey as I think the others are. But yeah, the scene where both versions of him are going crazy, and
I know, it's like, dude, we got to kill him. You know what we got to do. You know what we got to do. And it's like they're doing.
And really, hats off to the actor.
Balancing, being the foil between the two of them, the straight man, so to speak, is just.
Yeah, hats off to the actor who played I was going to say older or younger version of 5, because he was fantastic, and you could see that there's that same person beneath the skin, and yeah, Luther is hilarious, and that scene where he's like, can we all just calm down? After all, we're all family. And then the both of them are like, you want to take this?
5, even though he is older in years, most of those years he was alone.
Yeah.
So he didn't necessarily acquire good human to human skills.
I was going to say, he's barely socialized.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not very. He's like, shut up and do what I tell you. And that's not going to work with most humans, much less a group of superhumans. So.
Well, and much less a group of superhumans that are just completely done with being told what to do and how to live their lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Because their upbringing was so dysfunctional. Thank you, Reggie.
Yeah. I will say this, though. Like, I liked Reginald Hargreaves a lot more this season. Like,
well, we got a little bit more of him this year, too.
And there was some things to be sympathetic to him about. Like, this, you see the way he interacts with Grace. You see the way he interacts with 5 when it's just the two of them at the Light Supper. Like, that's not something we would have thought we could see from Reginald Hargreaves.
Well, also, we don't get to see him in that context in season 1, because it's always through the eyes of his children in season 1. And he is still that awful to the quote unquote children in this season. It's just when we see him interacting with 5, he knows he's dealing with someone who's, you know, actually older than he is. So he's willing to hold that kind of respect in his discussions with him, but he's just as dismissive as ever when he's at the table talking to the others. So I still think he's awful, but we did get to see some nice shades to his character.
Yeah, I'm not nominating him for a Father of the Year award. I'm just saying he was more. I found him to be more sympathetic this season.
Yeah, maybe a little more nuance to his character as opposed to.
Yeah, and I did really love that scene with him and 5, especially. Especially the part where, you know, 5 is like, you know, I was a little hard on you growing up, and he says, you know, what's the expression? He says, no skin off my teeth, old man. Old man, yeah. And I do really like that exchange.
Oh, sorry. I watched the chat on my phone, and that means that I get notifications on my phone, and I just got a notification that History of Westeros has just dropped a scripted episode. House Blackwood Part 2 came out for patrons. So, like, go become a History of Westeros patron. And you can watch it, which is probably what I'll be doing immediately after this stream. All right, I digress. What? Umbrella Academy?
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was very interesting that the family he formed with Grace and Pogo as like this little parental unit, and he showed so much more empathy. It was like a real dad almost for Pogo that he never was for any of the actual children that he adopted. And I thought that dynamic was really interesting. Like he could love Pogo, but he could not show any affection to the, you know, his human children.
Right.
So, but he wasn't raising Pogo to save the world. So not that gets him off the hook, because all of his kids would have been better if he had treated them more lovingly. Love being shown to you doesn't make you a sissy. You know, it doesn't make you a non-powerful person. In fact, it usually enhances your power.
Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry, Nessie, go right ahead.
I was going to say, it does lend a little bit more of that nuance that we were talking about, because we can now, at least I understood more why in season 1 Pogo had such a different opinion. He had a more sympathetic opinion of Reggie. Like he had like a deeper relationship. He was actually treated like family, where so he had that more of a loving relationship with him, and that just kind of fills in the backstory with him a lot better. You know, even though he was like, hey, he was originally a space monkey. You know, he was originally a science experiment, but you can still see.
And I think he's got a candy bar named after him. I'm not kidding. When 5 kicks open the machine, now he gets like a fudger nutter or something like that, but next to it are Pogo Go-Go's.
Wow. Like,
and it's like
Go-Go's, like
blast off or fly high or something like that. And there's a little sparrow in the logo for Pogo Go-Go's as well.
Well, that's pretty cool, because during that time, like the things that were going, space was like the big thing. You know, I mean, it was the height of what mankind was trying to achieve. Astronauts were all like heroes to the populace, so everything was. It was, I don't know, it was this huge. Well, Miss Betsy, you were there, you know.
Well, this was 1982. This was when he was in 1982, killing the commission.
Oh, when he went forward, yeah.
Pogo Go-Go's were in there, and there, like I said, there's a little sparrow in the logo. There's a sparrow on the milk truck. There's a sparrow on the door of the liquor store. There's a sparrow when 5 gets the address for where they're going to be. There's a sparrow logo on that paper.
What do all these sparrows mean, Stephen?
I don't know, but I've heard the producers have said that there's 43 of them.
So there's Easter sparrows hidden all in the shots.
To elaborate on Nessie's comment, when I was a kid, we used to get out. I grew up outside Tyler, Texas, and not a lot of light interference there. And we used to sit out and watch Echo go over. You could see the satellite and could track it going over. They would publish it in the newspaper when to watch for it, which these days nobody would do that. First of all, you would never see it.
Right.
So how much the world has changed.
Right. It just shows though, and yes, Lee, 43 is the number of kids. Like whoever is putting the show together is putting a lot of care and thought into everything. Mom, I know that we talked over the last few days. You said during your rewatch you were picking up on a lot of subtle hints and whatnot. And I can't wait to get into that. But something you said to me blew my mind when you told me. And that is, you have met people who have some tangential connection to the JFK assassination thing.
Do you want me to address that now? Or
yeah, I think because it's amazing, like these people. So,
well, I've got several connections. One is the motorcade route. Near the end of it, they drove down Harwood to Maine, and then we know about from there. Well, I used to work one block from Harwood and Elm Street is one block north of Main Street. So I often walked down where that motorcade went once upon a time. And
through Dealey Plaza.
Sorry?
I said through Dealey Plaza.
No, this was where the motorcade went, because it went from all the way from Love Field through an area we call Oak Lawn and into downtown Dallas. And Harwood Street is downtown Dallas, and they turned on Main Street to head towards Dealey Plaza. And most parades went down Main Street at that time because there were better viewing points there from the businesses that existed there. So, that's why they went that way. But it did cause that odd turn there to move a block back to Elm Street, which then brought him in position to either be shot from the grassy knoll and or the school book depository.
Both of which are on Elm Street.
Correct. And another thing, I had met a fellow named Buell Wesley Frazier. I had to write down his name because I couldn't remember. He is the person who gave Oswald a ride to work on the day of the assassination. He lived in Irving, and Oswald's wife, Marina, lived in Irving, and Oswald stayed at this boarding house not far from downtown in Oak Cliff during the week, and usually would spend the weekends with Marina. So it was odd that he went to Irving on a Thursday night and then needed a ride Friday morning. And when he got in the car with Buell says he had this package that was wrapped up and it was all covered with brown packaging paper. And Oswald told him that it was some Venetian blinds that he was going to have repaired for Marina. And we feel sure that's how the rifle, whether Oswald shot it or someone else did, but we feel sure that's how the rifle got to the school book depository.
Wow.
And I met this man in person, so was able to question him in person. And the third kind of oddity is whose name I don't recall, but I've also met the police officer who was guarding the door to the police station that Jack Ruby said he came through. And this police officer swears up and down that Jack Ruby did not come in through that door. Now, just a informational, they're not so much today, although we know all police groups have some stinkers in them. But the police force in Dallas back in the 60s was very well known to having ties to the mob, and they were easily bought off. And again, I'm sure there were some great police officers back then too, but in that day, they weren't very highly thought of by the general public. And let's face it, I was a kid back in those days, but I would hear my parents talking, and you can look stuff up historically to find out that kind of information. And that was very true. But this officer just swore that was not the case. So who knows how Jack Ruby got into the underground parking area. The old Red Courthouse, the Dallas Police Station, and the Dallas Jail, the city jail, all had underground connections to each other so that it was easy for them to move prisoners. And I've been to jury duty more than once at the old Red Courthouse, where you drive in on Commerce, go straight down at Houston into the underground parking, and you park down there. Of course, you get your parking validated if you're there for jury duty, but all of that's connected.
Well, that's good.
Well, that was a real good reason to park down there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting that as somebody who, you didn't live in Dallas in 1963, you moved to the suburbs of Dallas from Tyler in 65?
65, the summer of 65.
But you still lived not too far from Dallas and had been into Dallas many times.
Well, and growing up, I had lots of relatives in Dallas, so we would go to Dallas often to visit. So I drove by that school book depository. It was famous then because it had the Hertz car sign over it. So, oh, there's the Hertz sign. We're almost to Aunt Lily's house.
They did a really good job of capturing that area of Dallas too. So
they did.
I know that
is it close? Was the set close?
The only thing they shot in Dallas was establishing shots, a few establishing shots of Dealey Plaza. But you can tell they did their homework because the book depository, the old Red Courthouse, the shape of Dealey Plaza, that right next to the grassy knoll, there's sort of like a memorial walled walkway thing that's all right there. Even down to the FBI building that Vanya blows up, that's still a government building. It's a military entry processing station now. So it's not FBI building, but it's still a government building. It looks exactly like that. So I'm just like, bravo. And they took out all the stuff behind it that didn't exist in the 60s and is absolutely there now.
Yeah, like Reunion Tower.
Like Reunion Tower, Reunion Arena. The Omni Hotel is back there, depending on what angle you're looking at it from. But it's just, they did a really great job of making it look like I imagine Dallas would have looked. And the parts of it that I know offhand, I'm like, yeah, that's it. But then they say things like,
sorry, go ahead.
Then they say things like the alley that everybody popped into was the alley behind the corner of Commerce and Knox. Now, Commerce and Knox are both streets in Dallas, but they do not intersect each other. Mm-hmm. And they do a lot of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Stephen, that none of the addresses are real,
no.
But several of the mentions of streets are spot on as far as like Commerce Street is a major street in downtown. It's 1 block south of Main Street.
Yeah.
If you didn't know. And even Allison running away from Statler's on Commerce. We don't know exactly what direction she took, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But she almost had to be running and wound up in Deep Ellum, which at that time would have definitely been a black part of town. Because there's almost no place else that she could have run to and get there as quickly as she did other than Deep Ellum.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got too. Like,
and the Elm is for Elm Street, but that's what they called a music area.
Yeah, it's all nightclubs, tattoo parlors, and bars now.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. They did a great job of capturing like the feel of the 60s and the feel of Dallas, right down to, native Texan. The accents are so good.
Yes.
They really are.
Yeah, I only saw one thing that was kind of off, and it is when the fives have their battle, and there's a train tower back there that is still existing there to this day, which there's certain spots that are now national historical landmarks, and unless a bomb goes off, they're not going to get torn down. And that tower, even though it's still used today as a train tower, it's would have been visible during that fight, and it wasn't. But that's a small nitpicky thing, a very small nitpicky thing.
Yeah, and if you don't know, then you don't care either.
Yes, you don't.
All right, so let's shift the conversation. John has been very quiet. John, who was the best character introduced in season 2?
Oh.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me think about it for a second because
there are a lot of really great ones. A lot of them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember names.
Okay. Because practically every character of the 7 has a new character attached to them in some way.
Yeah, I already know who I'm gonna say. I just
need to know who it is so I can disagree with you.
The handler's daughter,
Lila.
That's what I was going.
Yeah, probably my favorite new character.
John.
How much fun did that actress have playing that part?
Yeah.
Oh my God! What a wide open character.
Like, she has some of the best quotes in the whole show. Like when she's having her breakdown early on, she's like, "Yogurt, how does it know when to stop being milk?" And I'm like, I love this. She is so weird.
So I will let John talk in a moment, but the best Lila quote is, or the best quote said to Lila is the handler saying, "Your vagina needs eyeglasses." Just like,
oh, right. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
What a truer statement.
I like Alicia Kingston's comment here. I like how the ladies at the hair shop jumped right into action when Allison ran in. They knew immediately what needed to be done. Yeah, it's sad that that is a thing, but yes, they recognized immediately what was happening and
jump right in.
Mm-hmm. You go, girls.
But yeah, I wanted to give due to the ladies at the beauty parlor. I don't know that I know any of their names of those sort of like more minor characters from the beauty parlor, but hats off to all of those folks who are part of that group. I will probably dig into that a little bit deeper here in a little bit, but yeah, I totally derailed the thought about Lila. I'm sorry, John.
Let John go.
That's fine, but I I got to go back and rewatch a couple scenes today. I unfortunately didn't have time for a full rewatch, but I just love watching her in those early scenes where she's fully inhabiting this, character of, being in the hospital with Diego and, acting like, she's another patient. She's really getting into that role and having fun with it. And then watching that versus the end of the season where she's someone who's in, real control of her abilities and holding her own, against them by using their own powers against them. And just, the final scene where she's seen a possibility of being welcomed into a real family. And it gutted me that the season ends with her basically running off. So I'll be really interested to see where we find her in the next season.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. She's one of those that going forward, I'm very, very interested in.
Me too.
Different take, Nessie, best new character for season 2.
Well, I mean, Lila's a powerhouse, but I think like maybe for subtlety, we should look at Sissy. I think this
Okay.
Vanya's friend that she makes. It's Vanya really experiences like her first real family type situation where she's, even though she's still on the outside, she's not part of the family. But she's included in the family and she's making human connections. She has another love interest this season. This one didn't end badly. Nothing, but she made some actual, some really deep connections. Her character obviously benefited from having full scale amnesia, so she couldn't. She wasn't dealing with what happened at the end of season 1, but Vanya getting a blank slate is very, very crucial to her character development, and just having that outside of everything, out on the farm, rural Texas with Sissy and Harlan, and just making those connections is really, really great. Guys, if you will excuse me for a second, I am not feeling well. I'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Having some heartburn.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's
take care of yourself.
Just following up on that, I will say, obviously, I liked this season's love story for Vanya far better than what season 1 was. Although I have to admit, I was not initially thrilled that they were going the amnesia route for her story, just because it seems like such a sort of played out trope kind of thing. But I was really surprised with the way it developed and the fact that I think Nessie's right. It gives her character a blank slate, and so it allows her to kind of heal from the events of season 1. And by the time she does remember, not only is she in a place where she can probably better handle it, but she also has a family member present at that point who's there to support her and really help her, which we will talk about as being my favorite scene of the whole season.
We all know the scene you're talking about.
Yeah, I thought her story was really beautiful this year, and it cleared up one of my major issues with season 1.
Okay. That's good. Mom, do you have a different take?
Well, I would say I like Lila a lot too, but I also have to say that favorite new character would be Raymond Chestnut.
Mm-hmm.
May not show up in any of the future episodes, but And he and Allison had only been married a year, so they're still somewhat in the honeymoon stage. But what a trooper! All these brothers and sisters start coming out of the woodwork, and none of them are black. All of them are weird. And assassins show up their house, and he's still, I mean, he's dismayed to some degree, but he is supportive of Allison to at least ask questions, you know, what is going on here? But it wasn't in a oh, I can't love you anymore kind of way. It was in a supportive way. So what a great guy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Raymond was going to be my pick if nobody picked him before it got back to me.
I do want to say that one of my favorite exchanges, though, is between him and Klaus at the police station. He's like, yeah, welcome to the family. You know, family barbecues are about to get a whole lot weirder.
Klaus is still my favorite character because of lines like that.
Yeah, I agree too. Like, I love Klaus. At that moment between them is magic, where heavy is the head that wears the crown, and he corrects him on the, you know, on the correct quote, and then the greatness quote. And I guess I missed the first time through that he used to be a professor.
Right, at Spelman College.
Okay.
That's in Atlanta. I looked it up because I had never heard of it.
But yeah, I like, what a goddamn hero. He didn't have powers, but what a hero. Like, I'd marry Ray. Crap. I mean, what a, you know, as Amy said, he's handsome, compassionate, and intelligent. So,
Yes.
like, and he looks really good in a suit.
Yes, he does.
But one of the things I particularly enjoyed about this season were the Swedes. So, you know, while we're talking about new characters, I'm at least going to throw out the Swedes, because what a fantastic and weird trio of characters that, you know, they're brothers, triplets, apparently, I think is said at some point, although I definitely have a feeling like there's a younger, middle, older brother dynamic with them. But just so weird, and like cleaning up the cat hair, and, you know.
I think when I was still in the middle of watching the season, you said something about them, and at the time I was like, I'm not sure I quite get what's so fascinating, because, you know, they're quirky, but I didn't quite get it. But as I watched the rest of the season, I was like, damn, those are some great characters, and you don't necessarily expect that, because they're, you know, they just show up as basically just somebody to pit against our heroes, but by the end of the season, you see there's real sort of pathos in that relationship between the brothers, and I really did enjoy that.
Oh, the Swedes are amazing.
Yeah.
The dynamic they have, the whole Viking hero funeral or whatever, the whole Viking background that they have is really cool. The episode, I think, where it's what is it called? Oho
Uga for Uga.
Or something.
Uga for
Uga,
Uga.
yeah.
Oh my God, that's
Okay,
so. I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
Yes. Well,
Right.
I didn't speak Swedish at all, but I immediately knew that was eye for an eye.
For an eye, yeah, obviously.
Because of the context, you know. But Port Luther and Diego think it's some lady.
You'll be dead by nightfall. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And like, as you say, there was actual some pathos with them. Like, okay, the one stabbed the other one in the leg with a knife, but even later when they're out in the woods stalking who they think is Diego, like,
I mean, that's just a finger, like
right. But like the one who got stabbed still stops the one who stabbed him from stepping in the poop in the forest, and they have this like exchange of looks right before he gets blown up.
Yeah.
But
and it was very heart-wrenching when they burned his the whatever body parts they could find.
looked like
And
just a foot.
hello in Swedish. Yes.
He had the Viking funeral for the foot.
But when they sang hello in Swedish, since we know the translation of that because we know the song, or at least I knew the song.
I know the song. I love Adele.
Adele's Hello. If you've never heard it, go look it up and watch it on YouTube because it's an awesome song.
It's a great song. But yeah, the Swedish version is just, and it has that sort of like, it is vaguely funereal in its sound. And, so the Swedish kind of funeral dirge over the burning boat, it was fantastic. In an episode called Valhalla, which.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just feel the sort of way to, for each one of the brothers taken away, you actually feel the hole that leaves inside the remaining brothers, and finally the last one. And that's, I don't know that I expected to feel that from the opening when they, are showing up off the bus or whatever, and you just think there are these henchmen, that are there to be an obstacle, and by the end of the season, you're really feeling for the last one who, when they all agree, enough, he's gotten his revenge against the person who actually was responsible, and they all agree that it's enough violence. They're ready to step away.
I really like that this show makes us, by the end of the season, love, like, maybe not love is a strong word, but really, appreciate the cleaners, if that's the way to put it. The team that always gets sent after, the kids. Last season, Hazel makes that wonderful cameo in this season, and we were so, at least I felt happiness for him that he was able to go off and live a good life, with his partner. And as he said, they had a good run. They had a good somewhere in time. They had a great run. And now we have this sympathy and empathy for the final Swede and the brothers themselves. It's just great that we're able to just have that connection with what should be like the villain of the show, and you just find empathy and things to like about them. Especially
since I also want to point out that there's not much said by any of them. I think that one of them maybe speaks a little bit at one point, but for the most part, silent performances, and so a lot of it is just in the facial expressions, the eyes, and all that stuff. And what amazing performances!
Yeah, the little brother I don't think says anything. I'm calling him, to me, the older brother is the one that survives. He has a few lines, but the middle brother, the one that got knifed in the leg, he's got one line in the whole series, and it is "Unharm my wiener," which is just great. That the Swedish, and yet it's subtitled because it's basically the same word or words, and I'm just like, that is hilarious. I don't know why it was so funny to me, but it was.
It is. Some things are just universal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Axel, which is the name of the lead Swede, and I wouldn't have known that except I looked it up. Chris Holden Reed, I've enjoyed him in so many things. I think the first thing I really fell in love with his acting was Lost Girl, but then he's also been on The Expanse. So, and I know y'all are all Expanse watchers, at least in our panel, and a whole lot of people that are in the chat. But he has one word, and he says enough in Swedish to 5 there at the end.
He talks to the handler in the.
And also when he's torturing and killing the.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I forgot about that. Hey, I'm looking for the obscure.
But still, he doesn't say very much, and it's remarkable what all of them were able to achieve just by emoting.
Well, and I've learned a few things, like when Axel gets off the bus, you can see Murphy is the street on a street sign behind him, and I was like, I've never heard of a Murphy Street in downtown, but sure enough, there is. It's only 1 block long between Main and Commerce. So, hey,
they got it. Like they did a lot of research to make sure that they didn't insult us Dallasites. So, thank you for that.
It's just one of those weird things.
So, any other characters this season that are like brand new this season that warrant some mention? There were a few that were sort of like.
Wait, we're obviously not going to leave out AJ, are we?
No, we're not going to leave out AJ. Like,
which I wanted more of him, honestly, because
what even is that? Like.
The smoking fish. Oh my God, I've seen smoked fish. But a smoking
fish isn't even all of it. Like, it's a fishbowl on a man's body that smokes.
Yes,
and I'm like, what even is this? And shows like, you'll never know.
Yeah, well, the thing I was telling you Stephen, about this and about the season as a whole was that I felt like, the show was weird in its first season. But this one, they just displayed such confidence. Like, this is what we're about, and we're going to show you a dude that's a fish in a bowl on a man's body. We're not going to explain it. He's not even going to play that big of a part. He's just there.
Yeah,
and it's weird and delightful.
And who knows why? We probably never will.
Right.
Yeah. Why? That's just AJ,
I loved it because it was AJ? Futurama and American Dad all kind of rolled up in one little image there with the fishbowl head dude. And this is the guy in charge. The fish is in charge.
And the fact that the way he goes is that the handler swallows him. It's just like,
right? Like a
everything
shark.
About her is.
Laura was on our Zoom call last night, and she professed that she has not seen this show. So, full spoilers, Laura. You know the deal. But, fishbowl on a man's body, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
It totally is.
I thought it maybe an homage to Once Upon a Time Goldfish swallowing, that the handler swallows AJ whole. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that was a thing once upon a time in America, but it was. High school frats.
College prank.
Swallowing those goldfish. Who knew?
Yeah, it's definitely like this is they put their toe in the water season 1. Season 2 they just jumped in with both feet.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope that trend continues and season 3 is just completely drowning in it. Like, okay, we're jumping around a lot and we're getting close to mid-roll time, but I'm gonna speak about the end shot for just a moment.
Okay.
When you first see the Sparrow Academy, backlit and everything, there are 5 outlines.
Mm-hmm.
Plus Ben is down, but there is some like glowing green box floating in the air next to them.
Right?
And what even is that? And like, I can't wait for there to be a floating green box character next season. It doesn't make any sense, and I hope, I don't know if that's somebody's ashes in there. That's like,
Well, we've had
maybe there was a 7th and they died, but somehow they figured out how to transfer the consciousness into a box. I don't even know, man.
I mean, we've had a robot mom. We've had an ape butler / Alfred type character. Why not a flying box?
Right.
We've had a ghost who is an actual character. You know, the sky's the limit on what you can see. You know, if they can imagine it, you can probably have a character that way.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the strengths of this show is that they've gone there with the weird, and we've all followed them happily. So I think they're ready to just like, they really leaned into it this season. I don't know why they would back off from it for season 3.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, they're going to go full throttle.
Cedric mentioned the character's name is actually Klaus in Hellboy, in the comics and in Hellboy 2, where it's basically somebody with a big bowl for a head, but it's like it's his spirit inside. That very much kind of reminded me of AJ reminded me of that, mixed with, as Nessie was saying, like Futurama.
And that could be, and that could just be the writers paying homage to comics that they love, because there's definitely like there's homage to Watchmen in it, in that basically Rorschach is known for walking around with the end is nigh sign. Well, there's just a random guy walking around with a sign that says the end is nigh, and that's like, you know, it's subtle and it's brief, but that's almost got to be a nod to.
Well, and when I was pulling your guys' leg last time and talking about how, you know, there's stuff, you know, pulled from all these different things, like, you know, it reminds me of X-Men, Heroes, and, you know, and there's almost, now we're talking about similar to Hellboy, Watchmen, but that's what's so great about this is, you know, paying homage to other things, but putting their own really wacky, weird spin on it all. And I love it. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
But their wacky, weird spin is very entertaining and amusing.
It is. I mean, and then playing with like the alternate timelines and what have you is really cool, because it just lets you say, okay, this was a future history past that could have been, might have been, but wasn't. And allows them to play with those different things, you know, okay, so the geography is a little bit different, or, you know, the JFK was shot, JFK wasn't shot, you know, those type of things. That alternate timeline is just so cool to play with. It's like the future that may have been or wasn't.
And I also, one thing I do want to get in before we get to the mid-roll is that, speaking of playing with sort of tropes of, you know, other things, it's really become common in a lot of time travel stories to show that usually it's the time travelers trying to change things that puts things into motion and screws things up. And what I loved, that was Diego this season. And he's told right off the bat by 5, he's like, maybe what causes doomsday is some idiot trying to save JFK. And but the whole season, Diego's still like, I got to do this. It's like, dude, you're not supposed to mess with anything when you go back in time. You think you're trying to do a good thing, but you could just cause a cataclysmic event that destroys everything. So yeah, but he's that sort of thick and dumb.
I mean, didn't you learn last time?
Is he
well,
thick?
He's got to play the hero. He's got to be the hero. And he feels like he's in this place, in this time. You know, he's got to be the hero, and that maybe saving JFK is what saves everything. And it's like, dude, no.
Yeah, I don't know that it's like, I think that says a lot about how damaged he is. And I actually kind of want to dig into that a little bit more after the mid-roll. Sort of like the larger thematic things that I noticed with season 2.
But while on this subject, I just wanted to mention that Diego is always trying to one-up Luther also. So that's why he's such a proponent for Team Zero, because everybody gets to be Zero.
And how ironic it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but like every time he brought that up, he's like, "Yeah, Team Zero," and
they're like,
I'm just like,
yeah.
He's so funny.
Luther ends up working for Jack. Diego is trying to save JFK, and they're still having this conflict. Number 1, number 2, because of course they're picking, opposite sides or whatever in this situation.
Well, and Stephen and I have wondered if maybe not it's the commission who's messing with the timeline, and it's whoever RH is with, Hargraves is with, is who's trying to fix it. We don't know, but that's something we've surmised. Okay, I'm done.
And can I just say that I also just wanted to say that there was a moment this season where I thought that because they talked about, nobody's really seen the commission. I kept thinking that when 5 went back to assassinate them, that it was going to be like future versions of the team who were actually the commission. That's how my mind works with these time travel stories. I'm like, that's going to be the big reveal. It wasn't, but but then of course, I just loved seeing him go to town and just wipe them all out. The show is so gleefully violent, and maybe I shouldn't like that as much as I do, but it's a lot of fun.
Like, it's pretty over the top.
It's the fact that this 8-year-old kid or 10-year-old kid is the one that's inflicting all of this violence on the commission.
He's
with
like 15, Nessie. Yeah, he's like
he's just a little guy, so forgive me. I'm bad with ages, especially with kids that aren't my own.
Ellen Page 5'1", and he's taller than she is, and I can attest being 5'2". Most boys pass me up at least by 13.
But they're doing everything. He's doing all of this in the knickers and the bowling shoes. I mean,
right.
Bowling shoes just makes the outfit as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. Like a like continuity from last season where they're all like they all show up in bowling shoes when they get to Dallas. You know what? We're gonna do the mid-roll. All right. So we'll start with, hey everyone who's here live. Thanks for joining us live. We do appreciate you. Our community means a whole lot to us. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're not subscribed, we would take it as a personal favor if you did that. We'd also very much like to ask you to hit the thumbs up button and like this stream if you are enjoying it. If you're not, that's fine. Heck, hit the thumbs down button like it's engagement. I don't care. It'll set the chat off and be like, who disliked the video? It's fine. Either way. But yeah, please like, please subscribe. Also going to shout out our Patreon subscribers. The guys that mean that we're getting new art soon. They pay for our streaming software. So like there should be a new video intro at some point in a not too distant future. Maybe some banner art. Anyway, we're looking into it, but yeah, that's coming. So many thanks to the High Council, Lord John Bronsteen the Wise, Sir Maura Lee of Starfall, and Sixto Sounds, aka JP the Axe Grinder. Thank you so much, guys. And the lords and ladies of the realm, Lady Leaf Underhill, and of course, the original OG, ridiculous Ed Tollett. We love you guys. Thank you so much for, helping our community grow and stay healthy and active. So, Nessie, you got anything coming up on your channels soon?
Yes, I've rescheduled the recording with the Learned Hands podcast. So we're going to be doing our trial episode for Adolphus Mercury in this week, and I'll be dropping that as a premiere. The audio will be on the podcast feed for Learned Hands. So I've got that coming up.
Sounds awesome. What about you, John? Got anything interesting coming up? I bet you do.
God, I can't think of anything. Certainly not with anybody interesting. Oh wait, that's right. Next weekend on Saturday, I will be doing a stream about the wonderful 2002 film Hero, starring Jet Li, with this fellow down here, Steven Stark, as well as returning guest Amy Blackfire, who was just on a stream with me yesterday about the 2008 film The Duchess, starring our mutual crush Keira Knightley. So also check that video out. And I can say in the weeks to come, I'm going to have a big Master and Commander panel discussion that'll be with Lauren Shakes of Thrones, Kelly, or Jaded Redhead, and my good friend Laura, who is in the chat right here. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun too.
Okay, I look forward to that a lot. So next week I'm going to be over on John's channel with Amy talking Hero, a film that I love deeply. It's a masterpiece. Also, we had to do some searching last night. We were trying to find it. If you were looking for a place to watch Hero, it is available on an app called Vudu, VUDU, and it is available for rent, I think, for $3 over there. And it's like really kind of the only place we found to watch it. There are other places, but they're generally like premium. So if you have a premium subscription to Prime or something, I think you might get it through there or through premium Hulu anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, you should see it regardless.
You really should.
It's a phenomenal film, and one of the most absolutely beautiful films ever made. Yeah. I must say.
Alicia Kingston has clearly seen it because she makes mention of the way they use color in that movie. So yeah, and you're not wrong. It's visionary in that. And then like next week, we're gonna go from a Chinese movie on Saturday night to a Japanese movie on Sunday night. John and I, and possibly another guest or two, if I can find the right folks. I'm looking now. Any of you, feel free to reach out to me if you know this film well enough to talk about it. We will be talking about the classic anime film Ghost in the Shell, the one from 1995, the animated film. Not the Scarlett Johansson attempt at something that happened a few years ago. This is the original animated movie that film is based on. So we'll be talking about that next week. Also, before I forget, I will never be able to fully state how much effect George R.R. Martin has had on my life. I would not have this channel. I would not have these friends without him. So happy birthday, George, from me to you. I know you watch every week after the fact. I know you type, but like you put us on when you go to bed. I have that on good authority. So happy birthday, George. I hope you're doing well. Long life and good health, my man.
And I just want to say, like, throwing this out there, I am you continue to make me jealous, Amy. Why do you have to say this? Because I would love to be able to watch Hero without the subtitles, because I'm going to get a little nerdy here. There's been a lot of debate over the years about Hero's subtitles, where there's certain elements that are a bit dumbed down for American audiences with the subtitles. So yeah, I'll admit it. If I could speak Mandarin, I'd probably be bragging about that too.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, y'all. Well, is there anything else we need to squeeze into the mid-roll?
My Cowboys won today.
Who cares?
We have a giveaway.
Well, I'm about to play the video.
All right.
Oh, great.
Okay, so everyone, like, you're gonna get it until we finish the giveaway. But here comes the video. John, Nessie, just mute. Don't watch. I know it's painful for me too. I don't like watching myself back either. But yeah, so we'll just play this video real quick, and when we come back, we'll get back to Umbrella Academy. All right. Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Here Be Dragons.
We've got a great surprise for you today.
You have a chance to win this, a bottle of Here Be Dragons Blood wine.
This wine was handcrafted by Nessie and her husband and is apparently 27% alcohol by volume.
But there is no orange juice included. That's just for me. You guys know that. Come on. One lucky person will win the wine, and the dragon bottle stopper with it.
Unfortunately, this contest is only open to residents of the United States for legal and sundry reasons.
Yeah, but fear not, we'll be having a contest for our international viewers very soon.
Now, the process to enter is fairly simple. Simply make an original piece of art in whatever medium you prefer.
However, that art must reflect Here Be Dragons in some way.
Make a song, make a dance. Make a drawing, make a pair of pants.
Yeah, so long as it's relevant to Here Be Dragons in some way.
Right.
Then you got to put that art on the Twitter with the hashtag HBDSwag. Also, please tag us at our official channel at Here Be Dragons YT.
Yeah, but if you're not on Twitter, you can still enter.
Yeah, you got to email that submission to we3dragons@gmail.com, as you see below.
But be aware that any emailed submissions will be posted on Twitter on our official account.
Right. We will be accepting entries until the 11th of October.
And we'll be announcing a winner, just like the Oscars, but much, much better, on our special anniversary stream on October 18th.
Now, guys, how are we going to choose a winner?
I'm going to choose through pure favoritism.
Shocker. We three will rank all of the entries.
And then we're going to tally up all the scores, and the person who has the highest score is going to be declared the winner.
Yeah. So, do whatever it is you do.
And share your talent with the whole world, or at least our wonderful community.
But remember, it's the three of us that you have to impress.
Yeah. It's not going to the best artist. It's going to the entry we like the most.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Good luck, everyone.
So until next time.
You know what it is.
Peace.
And be excellent to each other.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Okay, I cringe every time I watch it, but at least it's got all the information. And I will say this. Danny McKay is kicking everybody's butt right now.
Yep.
Yes, you forgot to put the hashtag, but you still have you're in the lead right now through a complete lack of any competition. But
the one you hear
you're muted. You're muted.
Me?
I want to challenge everybody to do something. I've been informed that family members can't win, but I'm going to join in for the fun. So there.
And Alicia, written work is also art. It doesn't have to be a picture, a painting, calligraphy, any of that stuff. It can be any original expression.
Yeah. Exactly.
Make
If you want to write a dirty limerick about John and Nessie, like, I'm here for it.
Hey, make a Here Be Dragons jingle,
Anyway, yeah, so we're just trying to get the community to have, we're trying to have some fun with it. So yeah, please join, and we'll give away whatever that is, wine stuff. I don't drink, so like it's not for me anyway. Okay, so Umbrella Academy. One of the things that struck me, and I said this about season 1, is that it is an examination of what abuse does to people. Like, all the kids in the show are in season 1 struggling to come to terms with the fact that they have been abused, and they're trying to find a better way into life. I feel like season 2 shows a lot of the tactics that people use to try to escape or to try to better their lives once they get to that point. But they're sort of like funhouse mirror versions of those things. But you have the people that turn to deep religious connections, like Klaus did. You have people that try to forget everything about their past, like Vanya did. You have people who literally kind of just go off the rails, and you've got people that can shut down, and the way Luther did, and he withdraws and he just sort of accepts his place in the world. There's a lot of different ways that people go about dealing with trauma, and I like that no matter what the plot, no matter what the weird jokes, no matter what the character development is, the show always has it in mind that these are people who are dealing with trauma and trying to become whole and well again. And the show never loses sight of that along the way.
Yeah, they're all doing the best they can.
Well, Klaus didn't mean to start a cult.
Yeah, but it's a metaphor.
Ticket, and then he starts spouting off music lyrics and some new age comments that nobody'd ever heard before. So suddenly he's this guru.
Well, it doesn't hurt that Ben can float him through the air. That's pretty convincing.
Right, or he quickly found himself like the first person he met when he hit the floor was his soon to be patroness, shall we say?
Sugar mama.
We'll go with that. Sugar mama that he quickly charmed. Klaus can be very charming when he wants to. He can. And the whole time Ben is continually just doing eye rolls, mostly this entire season once again. Just having to deal with his shenanigans.
I'm going to tell you, if I had to follow around Klaus 24/7, I would be rolling my eyes a lot too. Like, he's my favorite character because he's fun to watch somebody else deal with. But if I had to deal with Klaus, I would just be like, I'm going to shoot you.
Exactly.
Well, if you were like his siblings and had to depend on him for anything, they've learned they can't. They can't. Right. Although he is one of the few who show up on time in the alley when they're trying to get back with the briefcase.
He doesn't.
You're right. But Ben makes it right.
Yeah, we need somebody responsible behind the wheel.
He does get Allison's husband out of jail, which is, very responsible of him.
That's true. And
he and Allison are pretty tight in this episode, in this season, I think.
Yeah, when they see each other again for the first time, that was really emotional.
The dance scene in the beauty shop,
twisting the night away. Yeah.
Well, Klaus is in the moment. So in the moment, he could be just one of the girls, or he could be with the guys. he really doesn't care. He just is there. He lives in the moment.
Very much in the moment.
Yep.
Yeah, and I will say, like, there are a few times where he doesn't this season, but it's always because he's trying to do something with Dave. So anytime he's not living in the moment, he's screwing things up.
Yeah.
Which is sad because, like, that's actually super heartbreaking, that whole story with Dave.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
he inadvertently changed the timeline there. So that his past self, does that mean his past self doesn't meet Dave and screw it up for his future self?
Okay, so are we going to get into fantasy physics and, like, how does time travel work? Because
No.
I make the argument that this time travel works like the multiverse theory. They're not actually traveling through time. They're actually traveling to different timelines that exist as separate.
I'm not a particular fan of that, because then that suggests that they can always get back to their place and they haven't actually screwed anything up. I
disagree.
I like my time travel stories to have weight. They've screwed some things up, and that's had actual consequences. Although I will say the fact that they still exist at all is supports your theory, Stephen. So they might go that direction. I don't care for that myself, but
I prefer a closed loop, like the Bran Hodor thing. It already happened before it. It's just the cause preceded the effect. It always happened. This does not appear to be that kind of story, because they're literally changing the past every time they do stuff.
Right. Well, last season we saw the day that was and the day that wasn't, or the day, vice versa. And after the day that wasn't, it wasn't. It never happened.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the memories, like they don't have the events that happened. It didn't happen. Like, I don't know. Did it happen? Will it happen? I just love that they're playing with the ideas, and then they go to their future time, and well, it's a different time. Everything's different, or
Well,
do they even exist?
Older Klaus, older 5, going back to the same time that younger 5 returned during the funeral, Reggie's funeral. Right. So is there going to be a whole new story with older 5 and younger 5 at odds with each other? We don't know.
But that's got to be a separate timeline, because the one they went back to, the Umbrella Academy, doesn't even exist.
I understand.
And is that because Reginald Hargreaves met them in 1963 and was like, "What a bunch of losers! I am not adopting these kids." Like, the only one that's there is Ben. The only one that's there is Ben, who was dead, so he never actually met Ben.
See, my whole thing is, I think with the older, or God, I keep saying older, but you guys know what I mean. The older version of 5, going back to that point in time, I think that would have changed things if not for the fact that they went ahead and screwed things up even further, which then erased that anyway. Or if you subscribe to Steven's thought, it's that's yet another tangential timeline. Again, I don't really, I'm not saying they don't do that, because a lot of stories have gone that route, but I'd prefer that they did real damage and screwed things up, and they're going to have to deal with the fallout of that.
Well, the apocalypse, they said it was following them, so
it is funny that the fire extinguisher that Klaus throws into the portal hits Luther in the head and knocks him down. which then and I call him older 5 because he appears older. He right before he goes back, that's what allows him to grab the suitcase and almost get away with it as well.
Well, remember too, because they were having the conversation 5.0 and 5.1 or whatever we want to call them, about he got the math wrong. So when 5.1 goes back through the portal, is he going to get the math right and come out as a different age? Then
how does that work though? Is there like you jump into the portal and then there's a math test, and like if you get it wrong,
I would obviously
on the other side as a little kid. Like I don't get what knowing where the decimal goes. Is it going to change the angle that he's like sliding through space time? I don't know.
Well, evidently there's a difference between jumping in time with a briefcase, which is already more precise, than 5 being able to jump around in time.
Yeah.
Right.
See, Aaron's with me. Thank you, Aaron. I do ask the hard-hitting questions here.
What was the question?
What does the difference in the math make?
Apparently a lot.
Apparently 5 has to make calculations.
Yeah, his isn't, he doesn't have a computerized or whatever multi-dimensional quantum computer briefcase to, navigate for him. He's got to do it long division, which everybody knows sucks. You get the decimal in the wrong place. Apparently he came out as a 15-year-old boy or, a 57-year-old man. Split the difference.
I'm with you. I would like to see 5 as an adult, but there's no way I want to give up Aidan Gallagher.
No, me either.
No. Right.
Yeah, because that kid's just got it, man. That kid's just got it. He's even better this season than he was first season, and he was my. No, that's not true. Klaus is my favorite, and he still is. But god dang, number 5 is just such an interesting character, and that kid plays him so well.
Yeah,
I'm not going to just sit here and be effusive about it over and over again. I've said my piece, but just it's good stuff, and it's good to see all the characters have some growth through the season as well. They're all obviously they're scattered throughout time, so they're separated, but they're emotionally separated too, because of how badly things went at the end of season 1, how they've had to rebuild their lives by themselves in season 2. And yet still, when Allison sees Klaus for the first time, she can't kick off her shoes fast enough, and she jumps in the pool with her dress on. And Klaus drops his drink and throws his cigarette away. And it's just that's how family is. I know, because I've been there. Sometimes you want to strangle them and they annoy you, but you can't help but love them, right?
Yeah. So are we gonna talk about Vanya and Ben?
We should talk about Ben quite a bit, because he actually, I think he gets more, we get more of his backstory, his motivation, what he wants. We get a lot from Ben in this season.
Yeah.
I like that, for all those years, Klaus was having, I guess, maybe guilty feelings for Ben being around, but still he really needed Ben, because he needed Ben to be around. But find out that Ben was really too scared to go.
Until he actually walked into the light to get to Vanya. She's throwing off all these energy waves, which is creating a very bright light. Oh, so well handled.
Oh yeah.
And I love the connection he has with Klaus right before Klaus allows him to possess him too, where he's Klaus is complaining about feeling powerless, and he's like, this is what I live live with every second of every day, just complete powerlessness. And
I do love that at that moment Klaus is like, wow, that sucked. And it's like, really? This is the first time you're even attempting to empathize with what Ben's been going through.
Right.
Yeah. Klaus is a complex character because at one moment he's like really feeling like when Diego runs away to try to stop Dad from killing JFK, he goes, "Oh, Jackie, it's happening again," So he's, one moment he's really caring, and the other he's just like, "Oh, it's just Ben,"
Diego, I need to make sure I tell you this. It's important. You look like Antonio Banderas with long hair.
I know, right?
But then Diego's like, "Thanks, man." It really means something to him. That's the best part.
Yeah, God bless you, Klaus. Maybe they're here for Kenny's birthday party. Like he's got the best random crazy lines. Gotta run back and get the cowboy hat, before they time travel. Without Klaus, this show just is less. I'm sorry, all the characters are great, but Klaus, he's the best character on the show.
He's that bright splotch of orange, that pop of color that any well-designed room needs. Well, Klaus is the pop of color for this show.
I do have to really say, though, that as far as like favorite characters for this season, I can't really separate them out. It's got to be a combination of Vanya and Ben, just because of how their characters culminate in that one breathtakingly beautiful scene.
You're not alone at the table.
Man, that broke me.
That's like, okay, I'm just gonna, it's an open wound, so I'm just going to let the emotions pour out. That line and how it's delivered is pretty much everything I've ever wanted to hear myself. I empathize a lot with Vanya, just in terms of feeling, the isolation and feeling like you're an outsider. And so just hearing Ben deliver that line of "You're not alone at the table anymore," I'm not going to lie, I was sobbing at that. And that's really the moment when I went from really liking the show to outright loving it. And it's probably going to continue to be one of my favorites going forward, because it really established a deep emotional connection with me in that moment.
Well, Ben is also incredibly isolated. Like he's there, but he is that sort of like unacknowledged. And for those of us who have, we social anxiety stuff, that is often the way it feels, even if it's not the truth of the matter. That's not how people are actually treating you. Sometimes it feels that way. Like you're basically invisible. I'm here, but people are ignoring me because I'm not worth noticing. So
at best, you're a spectator on your own life.
Right.
Yeah. And I won't lie, I'm glad you said that, Nessie, because that's exactly how I've sort of described myself to people in the past, where I feel like, especially since I'm such a film geek, I've always compared it to like I'm watching a film of my own life. I'm not actually in the film. That's often what it's felt like. And so, I think you nailed it right there. And so, just the way he reaches out to her in that moment, and he's a lifeline, and he just says the absolute perfect thing. And then, of course, it's followed up by, if I wasn't tearing up enough at that, then it's like, will you hug me? It's as I go, it's been a really long time. I was just like, I can't handle it. I just
And
can't.
Vanya just throws herself at his chest. She's she needs that hug too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that ultimate acceptance.
Yeah. It I agree. They kind of ratcheted up the emotions for this a lot, and not just between Vanya and Ben in that moment, but it also leads on to the very end when Vanya decides she's got to go help Sissy and Harlan at the very end, and she turns to her family and says, "Look, I want you to come with me and help me." And of course, there's that. It's a TV show, so they're going to set up the bait and switch, and they're like, "Nope, we're not going." And she goes by herself to get out, to just go by herself. But of course, they all come around and they all show up.
Oh yeah, even Luther.
Even Luther.
Luther was left by himself. Everybody else went.
Yeah.
But Klaus was the first one to go.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the line of five, like, "You owe me one, sis." And I'm just like, oh. Yeah, I agree, Anna. That scene has all the feels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think they just, again, every aspect of the show, we haven't even really mentioned the music that much. But one thing I did notice this season was when they were not using a soundtrack, when they were using like an orchestral score in a few places, it was really powerful, especially when Vanya is like at the pond trying to save Harlan, who's just drowned. That the music there was really fantastic. Also, when the Swedes were walking in the woods and found Diego's knife, there was some really great orchestral stuff going on in that scene. But let's be real, the soundtrack is still a character in its own right in this show. Just the way they're able to pick songs that mesh with the scenes
and put you right in the time, you know.
Well, you say soundtrack, and I'm still thinking score. So, but I will say, as far as the score goes, like I can't pick out as much as I would like because I haven't had the chance to do a full rewatch, and usually the rewatch is when I really pick up on which pieces speak to me. But Aaron, Vanya's music is fantastic, especially going back to listen to parts of the season 1 soundtrack, especially towards the end of the season. I will mention just once again that the Ben Vanya scene. I can't wait for the season 2 soundtrack to come out so I can get that track specifically, because it's heartbreaking, it's beautiful, and they did a great job. But I will not begrudge that the song choices were great this season, especially right off the bat at the beginning. Just when you have that phenomenal scene, even though it's riddled with combat issues.
Oh, wait a minute. We didn't even
talk about.
You know what? That's up next.
But I will say that just the camera work, the music, everything, that's just a brilliantly executed scene. And when I finished season 1, Stephen, you were like, at least go and watch the opening scene of season 2 right now. And unfortunately, when you said that, it also caused me to watch the whole season right then, when I should have been watching something else to prepare for my own stream. Mm-hmm. So, but I couldn't help it. So,
but John, it worked. It all worked out.
Yeah,
it all worked out. But
yeah,
the contrast between the opening, the montage, I think Cedric Gladiator or called the World War III montage. It's
but
like
I
all of their
powers
are just out there. Like they just embraced all of their powers. They are just, you see Diego just flipping around and avoiding all the bullets. And it's just great how they were like, oh, this is Team Zero. Okay. But in this moment, they're like all together and they're just fighting like hell, and their powers are just outstanding. Even and Vanya's part of the team too. So, but then to skip to the what was actually the battle or the fight scene in the last episode with out on the farm, you know, they had all these powers and embraced it in the first scene, and they lost. I mean, the Earth once again, you know, nuclear war, we're done. And then for them to go up against the entire commission, all of their agents, all their cleaners. I mean, you know,
but they almost lost that also because of water.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's time for Steven's nitpicks now, though. Like, because as much as that scene, like, visually is gorgeous and like Frank Sinatra is fantastic, like there are some extreme crimes against military realism going on in that scene.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get our military realism.
So, like, anytime two people fit on the same screen and they're fighting each other with guns, that's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, like 50 meters is point blank range almost. But these people are running around in the middle of the street back and forth like 12 feet away from each other with machine guns. I'm just like, not so much.
Yeah,
you know, they also had people with superpowers in this scene, Steven.
Yeah, they did.
Oh,
but here's the thing. Superpowers don't exist in our world, but military tactics do.
But once you throw superpowered individuals into the scenario, I made this point yesterday, maybe all the rules got thrown out the window for that particular engagement, and people were just going crazy.
Right. So, like, yeah, there's a guy standing on a car. The best idea is to get out of cover, leave that cover, get to within 3 feet of him, so completely surrounding him with your assault rifles and shoot him that way. Sorry, man. Like, never going to get there. They needed to hire and I get it. Like, it's hard.
They needed to hire Steven, basically.
They needed to hire me.
Well, and how did they get tanks into downtown Dallas in 3 days? 3 days.
I
there for a convention,
and we let them bring their tanks.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
That scene too really reminded me a lot of Watchmen as well. You know, the choreography of the fight scenes and what have you.
And during the Cuban Missile Crisis, at that time nobody had intercontinental ballistic missiles,
right?
And so it was a big thing to have missiles in Cuba that could hit as far as Texas. They could have hit Dallas, Texas, the current missiles at that time. And of course, Florida, any place east of here closer to Cuba. And Dallas was concerned because we do have a lot of
aircraft manufacturing.
Yes. A lot of aircraft and Bell helicopter. There's a lot here that supports the military with equipment and airplanes and helicopters. And at that time, Dallas Naval Air Station existed, and it was a large naval air station. You may not have noticed the sailors that were in the club that Jack Ruby was in when Carl was trying to sell him shower heads. And I would say, if you don't know about Dallas Naval Air Station, you might be going, why are there sailors there? You know, but that's why. Big naval air station here.
Aaron asked, why couldn't Vanya stop the nuke? I mean, maybe she could have. A nuclear blast is pretty powerful, though. And, like, even if she could save them from, say, one nuclear holocaust across the entire world is still probably going to pretty much kill everyone. But, yeah, I don't know why she couldn't. protect them from the nuclear blast. Maybe
Well,
it's just too
once we
powerful.
were fired upon, it would be automatically we're firing right back. So, like you say, Stephen, she might could stop one, but she can't stop them all.
Right.
It's just zero sum game there. So.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
Oh man, it's like 15 till. If there's any, so I will stop railing on the military aspects. Yes, they got it wrong. You guys know that when they get it wrong, I'm going to say something. But I'm also going to acknowledge that, like, to get it right, it would not be nearly as interesting to watch or cinematic. So, like, I'm willing to forgive for, the rule of cool. Yeah. And
I
you're
did
right.
want to mention one historical thing that they touched on was Kennedy being the first Irish president, but he was the first Irish Catholic president. A lot was made about that during the campaign time. That's the first presidential campaign that I remember, and we kept up with it in middle school during current events time in homeroom. And there was a lot made. Was then the Pope really going to be the one who is ruling America through the Irish Catholic president? But in my homeroom, I voted for Kennedy, so it didn't bother me too much, even though I'm a Christian and not Catholic. But you can be a Christian and be Catholic. So, and there's Wheezy saying, "Yep, Irish."
Okay, well, I don't have a whole lot of other stuff to say in particular that hasn't already been said. I loved this season. I cannot wait for season 3. But Nessie, John, Mom, if any of you guys have something you want to say before we wrap up, like, the floor is yours. I am done.
I will say that.
Okay, I'll at least sit here and wait.
No, it's. I will say that as far as Reggie goes, I came away from last season having a lot of questions about him, especially after the final episode. This season left me with more questions about him. Even though we did find out some stuff with Pogo and sort of the history of all that, but he's a freaking alien and he's wearing a mask, and that scene really freaked me out. And I need to know what the hell is up with that.
I really like that there's 2 mysterious secret organizations behind the scene pulling the strings that may or may not be antagonistic to each other. Obviously, certain factions in one are antagonistic to factions in the other. And then even within that, and part of the commission, you've got the coup within a coup within a coup going on. So and at the end, it's just like the lowly GW8 workers who are actually running the joint and making things happen, and they're the ones you really have to watch out for because they know how things work. There's the guy in charge, but then there's the people who know how things work.
Yeah.
So
right.
Something I noticed on my rewatch, and it's about Lila. I'm sorry. I know I said I was done, but I thought of something.
You fibbed.
Lila wears red shoes, just like her mother, all the time, with one exception. The first time we meet her, because she's wearing the shoes they gave her in the hospital, but the one she sneaks bacon in, which is just what an introduction to that character. She's got bacon in her shoe, and she's willing to share it with you. Like, if that's not love, I don't know what is.
It's bacon.
It's
Diego, when he's trying to convince Grace that Reggie's a bad guy and is plotting to kill Kennedy, he says, well, I found it and now I lost it. Dad's lizard people are plotting to kill Kennedy. So I think he kind of foreshadows that Dad's not a human being at that time. I didn't notice that the first time I watched it, but I caught it the second time. And I'm like, ooh, that's a little foreshadowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is it the fish head people or is it the lizard people that are actually pulling the strings on, you know?
Who knows?
And all those people on that, they call them the Majestic 12, they're all just weird and creepy looking anyway.
Yes.
I mean, you know, like there's one, he looks almost like an albino except with, you know, dark. He reminds me of the smoking man from the X-Files.
Yes.
So it's just like the trope on all of the creepy, weird, back
and
government agencies or secret agent, you know.
And I don't know what he's called, but did anybody else? I call him the mobster with sunglasses. He's in the background a lot of places, like at Cape Canaveral when they're with Pogo.
Yes.
And he's part of the 12, the Majestic 12, but he's just kind of there in numerous places, and you're going, who or what is that?
Yeah, that's the guy I was calling the smoking man.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't smoke. That's AJ.
The mobster with sunglasses. Yep.
He's very, very pale.
There's a lot of mobster ties in this show. Of course, we all know about Jack Ruby, but Carl talks about going to celebrate at the Egyptian, which is famous here in Dallas. It's Joe Campisi's Egyptian Room, which is the first pizza place in Dallas. What Egypt has to do with pizza, I don't know. And Joe Campisi was known as the godfather of Greenville Avenue. That Sicilian family were known to have those kind of ties. And Jack Ruby actually ate there the night before the assassination. So it's just, little ties and things. They questioned Joe Campisi numerous times, and he was friends with Jack Ruby. And he and his wife actually visited Ruby when Ruby was in jail for killing Oswald. So there's just all these, and that just shows that the show has some good writers who learned enough. They didn't want to get sued over addresses, but they learned enough to really be fairly factual in most of the stuff. Mm-hmm. For instance, Southland was a real corporation building here. It was the tallest building in Dallas when it was built in 1959, but it was still the tallest building in Dallas in 1965. And they really did have a tiki room in there. Tiki rooms in the late 1950s and early 1960s was a big thing. So again, they really did some homework to do some good writing in this show. And even if you don't know about those little details, when you do know those little details, you're kind of like, oh, good for them.
I mean, the clothing, the hairstyles, the music, just the way that the cars, everything, it just had they had that feel, that classic early 1960s feel,
Yes, they did. Yeah, I told Stephen the only thing about the cars that they didn't have right was back in that day, all vehicles, I don't know about trucks and whatnot, and I mean big trucks, they had 3 numbers and 3 letters, and that was it. There wasn't any other format. And the license plates are not like that. But they still say Texas on them. No biggie. Y'all didn't notice, did you?
Nope. I did, however, largely because you said something about it, pause and take a nice close look at Dave's dog tags.
Okay. Because I said something.
Because you said something to me about it, which tells us his last name and his religious preference. Can anybody guess what Dave's religion is?
Baptist.
That was going to be my guess. That is not correct. Anybody in the chat know? I don't know that you could even look it up online very easily. The only way I found it was like literally pausing and looking closely at the dog tag. No guess from John, huh?
I have no idea.
Well, what is it, Stephen?
I don't remember.
Oh, well, thanks.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I do remember.
I do, and I'm the one who told him about it.
Yeah. Well, his last name is Katz. David Katz is his name.
A-A-T-Z.
And he's Jewish.
Interesting.
And the reason I caught that, Stephen, is because the Glen Oaks hardware where he worked is in an area that at that time in Oak Cliff would have been on the fringe of white, but not quite white, I guess is what you'd call it, which is sad to say, but that's what a Jewish person would have been considered back in that day.
Right.
Yep.
So when I looked up where Glen Oaks was, it just kind of made me wrinkle my brow because I do know quite a bit of that history. So made me curious. And I know that they list your religion on your dog tags.
Yeah.
Yep. Did anybody else notice it was a fake? It was faked by the handler and Lila, but when the Swedes were sent out into the forest and they were where the young one was blown up, did anybody notice the date on that missive? Because I did, and it made me want to go back and watch all the other ones and see if they all are like that. Now I'm looking for it in my notes. The Swedes sent a map with Diego. They got a map with Diego's picture, and the date was 0923845573. And I looked at that and went, okay, I don't know what that is.
0974825573.
Right.
Okay. I don't know what that is either.
And did anybody else look up the coordinates?
No, I did not. I thought about it, but I didn't have time.
I don't work, so I could have time to do this stuff. The coordinates were somewhere in Hollywood, so
Nice.
who knows?
Thinking about how similar the scene where they lure the Swedes out into the woods was so similar to the scene where Cha-Cha and Hazel were out in the woods. You know, you go out into the woods, that's not generally a good thing.
Right. And it sure wasn't.
You go out, one comes back, you know, or three go out. Yes, she is.
Thank
Most
you,
definitely.
Anna.
So,
Hey, when you're retired, you can look up the coordinates for stuff, and you can pause and look. And
I'm glad you used your time so well, Mom.
I will just say before we close out that one aspect that we didn't really talk much about, but just with with Allison and her husband and the sit-in and all that stuff, and the police officers, that hit pretty. All that stuff hit pretty hard, given the stuff that we're all currently living through and seeing. Very relevant stuff, and
It was the 60s, man.
Yeah. And just the fact that it ends with, when they're talking about her going, Back to the Future, and that he's got stuff to do there, and the fact that the fight carries on, and we know that because
it has gotten better, but there's still a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind that that's not that far away from my lifetime.
Well, and there was no stacklers that I know of in Dallas, but there were sit-ins in some places in Dallas.
Yeah.
That probably occurred very near like what was displayed. That's sad but true.
Yeah.
But the only way we can fix that is within our own heart and by passing down to our children that human beings are human beings. And when you do that, you've done your part.
And it, I mean, like they even say at the end, it's not over yet, but like there has been real progress made. Doesn't mean we're done, but it means, like everything, it means that the fight has been worth fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, think where we would be if somebody hadn't started, if somebody hadn't just taken the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we owe to the people, you know, who were brave enough to put themselves out there, put themselves in actual, I mean, in severe physical danger, and not just them, their families, everyone they knew. The danger was real. It was life and death.
Like when she rumored that police officer, they were probably going to kill him. They were probably going to beat him to death.
Yeah.
And that's
something
it's horrifying today that you can get shot to death by a police officer for no more reason than being black and, you know, and whatever, but being beat to death is very horrifying.
Yeah, and like it wouldn't have even made the evening news.
No,
probably not.
Unless there was this riot and all this unrest, and it was, you know, it would have been put in the protesters on the negative, you know, the sit-in ones in the negative light.
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar at all.
Yeah.
Not in the least. No.
Anyway, you guys are depressing the crap out of me. Thanks.
I will say though that one element of the Allison the story, which it was fun to watch, even though it had sort of it did have dark edges to it, but just the fact that she started getting into rumoring people again, and you know, and then we get when they're all at the lunch, and she's like, you know, to Diego, I heard a rumor you punched yourself in the face.
Oh, I mean, and what a big sister thing to do, right? Yeah. You know, quit punching yourself in the face, quit hitting yourself. You know? Oh man, it's like the worst. That was like the worst dinner party ever.
Well, light supper. Yeah, I like Diego, or not Diego, Luther's response. Light supper. Because that man is forevermore stuffing his face in this show.
Yep.
I mean, just look at him. He's a growing boy.
Yes, very much so.
That's a lot
to keep up there.
And even when he has his moment to stand up to his father, there's something so sad and pathetic about it, because he's like, "Look what you did to me," and it like should be like feel like an empowering moment for him, but it's sort of like everybody's just like, "Oh God."
He's got that goofy Tom Hopper face that Tom Hopper does. He's just, I can't even, like, the way he blinks at him. Look at it. I can't even do it justice. Tom Hop, he is so great in that part. Like when he's confused, he's just got the funniest face in the world. So does that qualify as like borderline rage from Luther? Is that rage?
At least as far as with Reggie, it does, I think.
Okay. He also farted in the elevators. Does that mean he was experiencing paradox psychosis?
Yeah.
Was there actually another Luther nearby?
Don't.
Was.
Stephen, it's too late in the stream for you to send my head spinning like that.
Okay. Well, let's just, I don't know. what else to say then? Like, I'm because okay. Anybody got a prediction for season 3? Season 3 predictions. John, you started talking.
No, I don't have my own prediction. I read somebody say that season 3 was going to be a time heist, similar to Avengers Endgame, where they try and fix some of the horrible mistakes they've made. But I don't know if that's what'll happen or not. But I will say I suspect that since, I mean, I guess it's a foregone conclusion probably, but since they left all the people, the members of the Sparrow Academy, I guess it's called, in the shadows, that they are all completely new people that we haven't seen before. And that the only person that we do know is Ben, because Reggie never saw him in the past, so he didn't know to steer clear of him.
What if one of the Sparrow Academy is Lila?
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's
be,
a possibility.
You know, finding out that she was one of the kids was like, oh yeah, I see what you're doing there. You know,
because we don't know if he went to all 43 kids to try to get them or not. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we don't.
And with things, who knows what shifted? Who knows? Who knows what kids are up for grabs? Maybe
I want to know if I do know that one thing that I absolutely want, and I suspect I'll get it, is Pogo still alive in this time.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a good season 3 prediction. Pogo is still alive.
And maybe Mom.
Whenever time travel is a part of the equation, all bets are off. You can do almost anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're talking about multiverses, time shifting, aliens,
vampires and werewolves and the undead will be in season 3.
I can dig it.
And I'll tell you,
I mean, Klaus is a thing, he can deal with the undead.
And the 3 movies that are playing at the Avalon or the Avon Theater right across from the alley are like The Day of the Undead, Kiss of the Werewolf, and something vampire. I'm sorry. So like they're monster movies that are playing and like they're appropriate to the year and maybe even to the time period because they're all around the October. No, that's not true. Not all of them, but still, like, they're at least accurate. They're movies that would have been in theater at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like that they're all monster movies, and I wonder if that's like hinting at something for season 3.
So does that mean Buffy's going to show up in season 3?
That would be awesome. Any other season 3 predictions or ideas or what have you?
Well,
no?
Maybe. No. Well, my thought is that maybe we'll see not just the other extraordinary kids and the Sparrow Academy, but maybe some other of the 43 are. Who knows? Maybe there's an inverse, maybe there's a bunch of them that are out there not doing good things. It just depends on who's come across them and raised them or what have you. Maybe we'll see some conflict there. Other kids or other young adults with these type of powers, because they're out there.
I will say that, and Nessie, this is a little in-joke for you and me. If we're going to start dealing with multiverses and parallel dimensions, I want to see Walter Bishop show up to explain it all.
I need Walternate, man. I need my Walternate.
There you go. Some other folks that like Fringe.
Mhm.
Me too.
Sorry, can't go there with you on that one.
Maybe one day, Stephen. Maybe one day.
That's another show I tried to get you to watch back in the day, Stephen. Oh
Should've
well,
listened to your mom.
that's right.
I probably never will. Probably just not going to ever get to it, you know?
Yes, I
Look,
want to watch
look,
Bishop.
there's so much. Look, every time, John, I'm going to shake my finger at you. Like, I cannot watch everything. I can't do it. Yeah, now what?
We've got power too, Stephen.
I know you can't.
It's all
No, I
off.
haven't seen
Shake my
Fringe.
finger at you.
No, I have not seen Fringe. No, I will probably never get to it because there's too much other stuff on my list.
Especially when you can't even finish the stuff.
Can't even
you
finish
start.
the ones that are in front of me. Anyway, I digress. Anything else need to be said, or can I shut this travesty down and finally get on with my life?
Wow, man.
You people. Hold on. Okay.
He's trying to make it like we
You
were.
were giving it a
Yeah.
show game.
I'm
I mean-
sorry. I got a little bit OCD. Everyone, they got me. Okay, they pushed me outside my comfort zone, and I broke, and I apologize that you had to see that.
You're gonna have to watch your temper when you guess
I
on
know.
the channel
I'm
next week,
such a
Steve.
jerk. Such a jerk. But anyway, I really have like derailed my thought process. So, guys, if there's anything else, please say it. If not, I'm going to start moving towards the end and wrapping this up because
I just can't wait for season 3.
me too.
Me either.
I've been done ready, you know.
Been done, been ready.
been ready.
The ending made me hungry for season 3.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I am, but I also feel like I've got plenty with what's in front of us to still entertain me because I'm going to be wanting to go back and rewatch both seasons and to pick up on all the stuff that I missed. So, and I'm sort of tempering my expectations for when to expect season 3 because given everything that's going on,
It's going to be
I think for a lot of shows, it's going to be a while. So I'm just going to be happy enjoying the 2 fantastic seasons that we have. And then, yeah, whenever we get it, it's going to be great.
Ooh, you got that one too. Yeah. Good call, Alicia.
Yeah, I like it. I like this
You
idea.
got a lot.
I also apparently 5 is Targaryen. Doesn't look very Targaryen. Let's light him on fire and see what happens. All right,
He just
y'all.
jump away.
Thanks for joining us. I'm
Yeah, people with dark hair are never Targaryens.
never.
Everybody knows that.
We're Starks. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us. Come back next week where we talk about something completely different. What is next week again? Oh, yeah, there's a movie called Ghost in the Shell. You should watch it. It's really good. Then me and John are going to talk about it, and I'm reaching out to a couple other people. If you know Ghost in the Shell well enough to talk about it, you know how to contact me. Links down in the description for my Twitter. Send me a DM or whatever. Send me a message, and yeah, we'll because I would love to have somebody come on and talk with us about that movie. John, what do you got going on?
Okay, so just did a stream with Amy on The Duchess, is starring Keira Knightley. Go watch that, everybody. And next Saturday, Stephen will be joining the two of us to talk about the film Hero. So please come check that out and subscribe to my channel. And if you think you have subscribed, double check, because if your name starts with an M and ends with Ica, you might have forgotten to subscribe. just you never know. So yeah, go ahead and do that.
Nessie, what do you got?
Well, I've got the stream coming up with, or the recording coming up with Learn Hands this week. So hopefully that'll be out. Ooh, well, I don't want to jinx myself because
Don't jinx it. Knock on wood and everything goes.
Blow up and destroyed our timeline. So knock wood, it'll be out soon.
Right on.
What about you, Stephen? What have you got going on?
You know, streaming next week. And then I think the week after that, we're talking about getting back to a little bit of George's writing in The Sworn Sword, the second Duncan Egg.
Sworn Sword.
And we might have somebody who's never appeared as a guest, but someone who is a podcaster in the community be joining us for that one. So read The Sworn Sword again, the second of the Tales of Duncan Egg. And 2 weeks from now, we'll be getting into that one. Mom, what do you got going on? What's up on your channel next?
I don't have a channel, but I'll be here next Sunday for yours. And even if I haven't seen the show, I can still have fun in the chat and watch football. And like I said, the Cowboys won earlier today. It didn't look like they were going to, but they came from behind to win it in the last few minutes. So
I do want to say, since let me throw Cedric's message back up, because everybody knows that I am pro physical media. So I'm going to take this time to let fans, anime fans, especially fans of both of these films. Ghost in the Shell was just released on a beautiful remastered 4K Blu-ray set, and Akira also is being remastered in 4K this December. So it's actually a really great time to be getting into these, and yeah, I love the hell out of Ghost in the Shell. So that's going to be a lot of fun talking about.
And I did want to say thanks for having me on, guys. I enjoy it. I was excited. You can tell. You can ask Stephen. I've been excited
You wouldn't hardly leave me alone.
I had some interesting tidbits to share, and maybe he'll have me back on again sometime when it's something that I know anything about. So,
right.
And I also want to challenge everybody out there to send in your entries to hashtag here be dragon HBD swag.
That's it. You got it. Hashtag HBD swag.
Because I'm doing something even though I can't win, because I want to have fun.
All right. So cool. Mom, we'll have you back when I can, when we find something that fits for you, you know? Can't
Works for me.
John
Fringe.
Okay. Yeah, because we're going to do like a huge series. I'm going to binge watch a show I've never seen so we can do 1 week about it. Sorry, guys. It's probably just not going to happen. I know Fringe is great. I know people love it, but I'm probably just not going to get to it. Anna, we've done a Buffy stream. I've done a Buffy stream once before, but, you know, couldn't hurt to do another one. And that would be one Mom could come back for. But, like, I can only stand so much of her, so I have to wait a little while.
Plus, Stephen, you didn't do it with us.
You're right. That was pre-HBD days.
Yeah.
So we may have to go back and redo some of that. Anyway, I've had all of you folks I can stand for one day. So...
Can't get rid of me, Stephen.
It's understandable.
I'm going to try anyway. Love to all of you who are here to support us. Thank you so much. John, Nessie, Mom, thanks for being awesome and doing the darn thing, you know. But yeah, I think we're done and I'm ready to sign off. So
wait before we go. I'm really sorry. I have to confess something.
Okay.
I really, really enjoyed the show. Thank you for introducing me to it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank Mom, because Mom is the one that got me to watch it. And I enjoyed it so much, I was like, I want to talk about it. So
Thank you for twisting his arm, Betsy.
Thank you,
It
Betsy.
took me a while
I know, right?
because he didn't get into it till season 2. So came out. He watched season 1 first, but not until season 2 came out.
Yep. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us. I'm out of here. If you guys want to stick around, well, you can't. All right, y'all. I love you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye. Peace.
Bye.
And be excellent to each other.